Welcome to Unsubscribe. I'm your host, Avani Jain. In this podcast, I'm going to show you how to intentionally opt out of anything that's robbing you of your energy, freedom, joy, and peace of mind. It's time to let it all go, finally, so that you can clear your mental inboxes and make space to subscribe to a life that truly lights your soul. If you're ready, hop in. We are embarking on the transformation of a lifetime. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Unsubscribe. Today, I am coming at you with really fresh material, like literally fresh out of therapy material. And I'm so excited to share this with you. Today, we're going to be talking about the power that lies within softness and opening and allowing and what that can do for us, especially when we feel like we are in an era of our lives where we don't have hours and hours to sit and be in stillness. And we have to figure out a way to be present, become grounded, and find really good anchoring on the go in our lives, just because life is big, busy, and beautiful. And so I'm going to get into some of the things that I've been doing, some of the realizations I had this morning in my amazing therapy session, because I felt really called to share that in today's episode. I think maybe one of you or some of you or all of you listening really need to hear this, and I'm going to share it. So I'm excited to dive into that. Before I do, I want to share a little bit of something that I'm unsubscribing to right now, and it is wearing makeup in order to record a podcast episode. So I am also recording video for every single podcast episode. We're going to be uploading to my YouTube channel, and I have a lot of episodes now, 16 episodes to backfill and upload. And for that reason, I've been trying to get ready and look presentable as I record podcast episodes. But today I was like, you know what? I unsubscribe to that. 90% of the time, I'm not wearing makeup anyway, and I feel great in my skin. I have worked hard on my skin to be healthy, and yeah, it doesn't look like the TikTok, Instagram models out there, but that's okay. That's not who I am. This is who I am. So here I am, fresh face, and recording here with you today. So I just wanted to share that as a little inspiration. Like, we don't have to always look put together to feel put together. We get to unsubscribe to that too, which is pretty powerful. So now that I've shared that with you, let's dive back into the topic of the episode. Life is big, life is busy, and I have been feeling very much so with all of the travel that we're doing and all of the events happening right now, and the busyness of work, the busyness around things happening in our home and life. Just like there's no space to be. I'm finding pockets of that here and there, like when I'm in the car by myself, driving to meet a friend or run an errand or something. But I'm not feeling like I have that space to just go to a coffee shop, sit and read a book, which I really, really would love to do right now. But that's just not the era of life that I'm in, especially with all of the content creation that I'm doing right now. I'm doing about maybe 6 hours of content creation every single week, which is not a small amount. It's quite a bit right now. And so I just don't have that extra space to sit on my egg chair swing on the deck, which I love. I'm just not doing that right now. And that's not the phase of life that I'm in right now. That's not the chapter that I'm in this moment. And rather than fight that and try to get there and kick and scream that, oh, this is not where I want to be, but also it kind of is where I want to be, because I've made a choice to show up in a big way, to do this experiment with unsubscribe, and to commit to certain projects that we're doing around the home, to go on trips and live adventurously. So this is where I am right now, and I need to stop resisting. I am realizing that I need to find a different way to be. So I want to share a few things that are working really well for me, and what I've found that has helped me not only find peace and stillness when I do have 5 or 10 minutes to sit down, but find peace or stillness in any given moment, even when 100 things are happening around me. And when I'm able to unlock that, I feel like I kind of have things figured out in that moment. But if we're able to do that consistently, like, whoa, the world is your oyster. So the first inkling that I've been getting of, hey, I really need space and stillness, is I've been craving doing yoga, stretching my body, holding poses, feeling the lengthening, feeling the space. And today I realized the reason I'm craving yoga so much is because I'm having such a hard time sitting still for 10 minutes or 20 minutes to meditate. It's just not happening right now. My brain wants to make lists of 10,000 different things, and it wants to pick up my phone and remind myself of something or send a message, and it's just not able to sit still. And what I'm finding is that with yoga, I'm able to do the meditative part with movement. And when I'm in yoga, I'm doing yoga. Like I'm holding that warrior one pose. I'm sitting deeper and deeper into that pigeon pose and feeling the sensation. And it's just such a good touch point to have that physical practice paired with breathing. And it really brings me down into the present moment today. Today I did it. Yesterday I did it. But it's bringing me into that present moment right now in a way that I need, that I'm not able to access with just sitting in silence by myself. So I'm really getting to access peace and stillness in that way. And I did a 10-minute yoga session this morning, 20-minute one yesterday. I'm just grabbing a Peloton yoga session, but there's so many great yoga instructors even on YouTube that are free. I love the Journey Junkie. Her YouTube yoga sessions are wonderful. I've been following her for a long time, but there's so many great people out there that have great yoga practices. Highly, highly recommend. And what I realized today, and I was so intrigued by it, was yoga is meditation with movement. And what's really interesting about yoga is that it gets us in touch with a different dimension. What it does is it actually puts us in the theta state from a brainwave perspective. There's 5 different brainwaves, and theta is one of them. Typically, it happens when we're deeply, deeply relaxed, something that comes up when you're in a state of hypnosis, which is so cool. And what theta brainwave state can do is it can really promote immense healing for the body, which is so cool. And I think at some level, we all need healing, whether it's a little bit, a lot. We need it. Our body cells need it every single day. We're constantly having cells that are destroyed and need to be rebuilt and regenerated. So going into this theta state, especially if you're feeling burnout or run down and just need that recovery, can promote the healing. It helps with stress and anxiety reduction. It helps with more deep relaxation, and also can even impact the immune system. These theta brainwaves are so powerful. And that theta level, when we can get to that, magic happens. However, we, as very egocentric human beings, have a hard time staying in theta state, that state of deep relaxation, that different dimension. And we're just on the circuit all the time, plugged into social media, plugged into our email inboxes, plugged into our phones, plugged into our work, our Slack, our, I don't know, project management systems, our text messages. We're constantly responding, constantly pinging back and forth and back and forth. And it's just circuit that we're almost like a hamster wheel we're stuck on. And that circuit is driven by the egoic state. It's driven by the ego, because when someone's pinging me, my ego gets lit up. It's like, oh my gosh, someone needs you. You're important. You're important. You're important. Message them back, because you're so important and you're so needed right now. I'm saying it like sarcastically because I kind of feel like that right now, but because that's not where worthiness comes from at all, right? So there's this push and pull, this clash between the egoic state and the theta state. That egoic state is in some ways very much the opposite of the theta state. And I'm finding myself either in one or the other. And typically these days, I'm really in that egoic state, the go, go, go state, the do a lot of things state. And there's so many things that I'm holding right now, that I'm doing right now, that I'm creating right now. And so touching base and feeling into that egoic state, which is also masculine energy, is a lot easier for me. And it's in some ways a lot more comfortable for me. That's just where I am in this time, in this era. But it's not good for my nervous system. So I want to be able to not just have that egoic state available to me, but also feel into the theta state, the relaxation, the release, the nervous system regulation, because I need that balance. I need that pull back into flow, back into center and groundedness. And
I've had many ways of doing this in my day to day, and I feel like my tool set is just growing and growing and growing on how I can do this. And it's essentially a pattern interrupt. As I'm doing something like sitting at my desk, sending Slack messages, responding on Voxer to somebody, or sending an email, or in a Zoom meeting, on a Zoom call, recording a podcast, as I'm doing these very doing things, I can insert a micro moment where I'm taking a beat and I'm grounding back into my being and touching a thread of that theta state of being. Maybe I'm not fully, well, definitely, I'm not fully going into that brainwave state, but I'm coming out of the egoic level and remembering that groundedness that is always available to me, and making that a habit of being present in the flow of things, being present in the flow of doing is powerful, because that is us using life as a meditation. I think that's like the ultimate state of being, right? If I don't have to meditate because I use life as a meditation, whoa, like I think you're an evolved soul if you can do that and you've unlocked that and it really works so well for you. Because everything can be treated as a meditation, a conversation, an argument, a walk, a drive, a time where you're waiting in line at the airport. Using those moments as meditation can really unlock this next level of being and really help you feel into that theta level of existence and lean out of that egoic level existence, which is really, I don't know, it sounds kind of delicious to me. So, what I'm doing is, and I'll share a few tips, tactics that I'm doing on a day to day basis to get me out of the mindlessness of doing and into the mindfulness or the meditation of my life. First thing I'm doing is I'm noticing when I am bracing, when I'm tightening up. And it happens to me a lot. I notice I tighten up by holding my breath. I do this a lot, more than I would like to admit, which is not good. Or clenching. I clench my jaw a lot. I have had TMJ in the past, so I clench my jaw, or even sometimes furrow my eyebrows. My face is where I hold a lot of the feelings, the expressions, and I can often feel myself being really tense in my face. The other place where I'm bracing is often my glutes. I'm really tightening my glutes. Sometimes when I'm doing random things like just standing in line at a place like the store or the post office, which is like such a weird thing. It's not actually stressful, but we've made it up in our minds that a moment like that or an experience like that is stressful because we're in a rush all the time, right? So I'm bracing because I want it to be done, over with, and move on to the next thing ASAP. So I'm noticing first those moments. And when I notice those moments, my cue to myself, I literally say this to myself, is cycle your breath. And I just start to breathe. And I think of my breath as an in out cycle and visualize a circle. And even in this moment, as I'm doing this, like I can feel myself getting more and more grounded, more and more present. I encourage you to do this with me. Breathe in and imagine that loop of air going in through your body, down your diaphragm, out through your body, and back in again. It's like this circle that your body is a part of. And when I keep telling myself to cycle my breath, cycle my breath, cycle my breath, that tension starts to release. The jaw releases, the forehead releases, the glutes unclench. The breath, I'm not holding my breath anymore, starts to go in and out. And I'm not like holding on to that stale breath anymore, because once it's in, I need to breathe it out, right? And that practice of noticing when I'm bracing and cycling through breath, that in itself, if we can practice that, can change the game. So that's the first thing I'm doing. I'm really asking myself, how can I relax more? How can I ground 1% more? Just a tiny bit more. If I can just do a tiny bit more of presence and grounding in that moment, I'm practicing life as meditation. And next time I do it, I'll be a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And that's what a practice is. That's what, when people say meditation practice, yoga practice, it's not about completely being in Zen and not having a single thought cross your mind. It's about getting a little bit better, 1% better every single moment. And the whole point of this isn't for us to have to have some elaborate process or ritual every day to do this. We can if we want and if we have the capacity and the joy for that. But if that's not available to you, bring that micro ritual into your day to day. That idea of using life as meditation, I think it's just the coolest thing ever. It really unlocked a lot for me today. The other thing is grounding into gratitude. So I can notice the bracing and breathe, and I can also ground into gratitude. Gratitude brings us a lot of presence. If we're able to look at the moment that we're in and say, what am I grateful for right now in this space, in this time, in this moment? And it brings awareness to where I am. It brings awareness to this stage of my life, not to the future, not to the past, but to the now. And so practicing just noting 3 things of gratitude in the moment is another really good way to pattern interrupt and practice that meditation in the moment, practice that softening in the moment. And it's such a helpful tool. People who are the happiest are the most grateful. So I'm sure we could just do a whole episode on that. It's just so powerful. But grounding into gratitude and literally noting those mentally, if you're in a space with a lot of people, even that can just bring back to what matters the most and brings that fulfillment in the present moment. So gratitude is the next thing. And then I'm developing my own little, I guess, mantras or meditation phrases that help me come back to center. And one that I've been using a lot today is soften, open, allow. And just saying that again and again, especially in a moment of discomfort. Like I was working out after my therapy session this morning and we were doing upper body. I don't even know what this workout equipment is called, but it's like there's a fulcrum at the bottom and it attaches to our squat rack. And then you put the, oh my gosh, the barbell in and then weights on one side and you like lift it up on one side. And it kind of like it's like a little lever that you're lifting up and down with weights on it. And it got really hard. So what I kept doing in that moment as I was feeling that difficulty, I noticed I was bracing immediately. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, let me try to cycle my breath. So I started that for a little bit and that was helpful, cycling my breath. Breathing when I'm exercising really helps the workout or whatever movement that I'm doing become a lot easier. But then I tried to switch it up and say my new mantra that I discovered, which was soften, open, allow. And so I kept saying that for each rep, I used one word: soften, open, allow. And so 12 reps means I say soften, open, allow 4 times, and then the set is over. It's so cool. And it was like done like that. I was able to go more confidently into the movement. I was able to complete the movement more easily and go up in weight as well in my workouts when I was doing that. So soften, open, allow. Basically soften. You can't see me because I'm on video. Maybe some of you are listening just on the audio only version of this, but each rep was one word. And that was really cool. So you can translate to this to anything, like if you're walking down the street or down the stairs. Soften, open, allow, soften, open, allow, soften, open, allow, soften, open, allow. What's great about these words is it not only brings a lot of peace and grounding to you from a soul level perspective, but also saying these words literally brings softness, openness, and allowing into your body, and your muscles start to soften. They start to open and really allow the healing that is available to them. So having a mantra like that is so, so cool. There's so many different words you can say, phrases you can say, but this is just one that's really stood out to me in my day today because it's been so powerful, and I'm excited to continue to use it and see where it can take me and what it can allow. I think it's just such a powerful, powerful way of being. And you could replace it with any other word you want: expansion, abundance, joy, presence, stillness, magic. Whatever words feel really good to you, those can be your mantras. And when you pattern interrupt, you notice that bracing or clenching or holding breath, you can then switch to your mantra, or you can switch to gratitude, or you can switch to cycling through your breath. These 3 super simple practices, like dead simple practices, are available to you all the time, anytime. And there is just more available for us to receive when we can ground into the present moment, even in the chaos, even amidst so much going on, the stress, the overwhelm, the to-do lists, stacking up, the mountain of tasks to do that never seem to end, because that's what life is like in 2024 these days. There's just so much going on, so much we need to do. And so when we can have practices like this, we can bring a little bit more joy into every moment and start to romanticize our lives. Like when we think about having a life that we really romanticize and enjoy and really get to savor every single day, it's because we are present to those moments of joy and beauty and magic. And what's stopping us is the egoic part, the ego that just wants to keep going forward, 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 and not be in the present moment, not be in the now, in the moment, the stillness, even though that's where the growth is. That's where the healing is. That's where the beauty is, because all we have is now. I hope this was really helpful for you today. And I hope that you're able to practice some of these quick little tactics that I shared with you. They've been incredibly eye-opening for me, and I just really wanted to come on here and talk to all of you about them. If they were helpful, and if you feel like living life in meditation is something that's really resonating to you and you think that others might find it useful, I really encourage you to share it with a friend, a family member. Share this episode. It's really not about getting me out into the world. It's about getting these ideas out into the world. And that's what Unsubscribe is all about. So thank you in advance for sharing, for listening, for practicing, making this world a better place by continuing to unsubscribe to what doesn't light you up and subscribing to a life that really, really brings you joy. Until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.